My selfish fiancé gave me an ultimatum: either send my kids away to boarding school or forget the wedding. So I ended everything and enjoyed watching her unravel. I'm a 38-year-old single father raising two children, ages 10 and 12, after their mother passed away a few years ago. The three of us have faced our share of challenges, but we've managed to create a solid, loving home. My kids are incredible, thoughtful, bright, and tough despite everything they've been through. They're my reason for getting up every day. About 18 months ago, I met a woman, let's call her Emily, at a friend's cookout. She was 34, vibrant, and had a magnetic personality that drew people to her. We clicked instantly, and before long we were dating. Emily seemed to embrace my role as a dad. She spent time with my kids, taking them for frozen yogurt or to the playground, and I appreciated her effort. My children were courteous but reserved around her, likely cautious after losing their mom. I assumed it would take time for them to warm up, which seemed reasonable. At first, Emily appeared to understand that my kids were my priority. She'd praise my dedication as a father and talk about wanting to be part of our family. It felt reassuring to have someone who seemed to respect our dynamic. As our relationship deepened, she started staying over occasionally, and my kids didn't seem to mind. They weren't thrilled, but they weren't opposed either. I thought we were all finding our footing. Looking back, there were subtle signs I overlooked. Emily began commenting on our home, suggesting it could use a refresh or that the kids' rooms might benefit from a redesign. I brushed it off, thinking she just wanted to contribute. She also spoke about our future, trips we could take, maybe even having a child together. I wasn't opposed, but I always emphasized that my children came first. She'd nod, but in hindsight, I'm not sure she truly absorbed it. Another red flag was her brother, Tom. She mentioned him occasionally, usually in a frustrated tone. Tom was unemployed, living with their parents, and seemed to be floundering. Emily described him as a burden, but also felt obligated to help him. I didn't dwell on it. Everyone has family struggles. But as time went on, I realized Tom was more troubled than I'd thought. He couldn't keep a job, made poor choices, and showed no drive to improve. Still, I didn't see it as a deal breaker. After a year together, I started considering marriage. Emily had been dropping hints, showing me ring designs, mentioning venues, and I felt ready. My kids were thriving, our routine was stable, and I believed Emily and I could build a life together. I planned a heartfelt proposal at a park where we'd had an early date. When I asked her to marry me, she beamed, said yes, and we celebrated our future. It felt like everything was falling into place. The weeks after the proposal were a blur of excitement. Emily threw herself into wedding planning, obsessing over details like table settings and venues. I was busy with work and parenting, so I let her take charge. But soon, her comments about the house grew more pointed. She'd say it was charming but cramped, or suggest we needed a more refined aesthetic. I didn't understand what she meant by refined, but I let it slide, assuming she was just eager to blend our lives. Then came the suggestions. She proposed decluttering the kids' belongings to open up the space or moving their things to storage for a cleaner look. Individually, these remarks seemed minor, but together, they felt like she was trying to reshape our home. I stayed quiet, not wanting to overreact. But when she suggested turning the kids' craft room, a space we all cherished, into a guest bedroom, I put my foot down. That room was where my kids created art and where I worked late nights. It was non-negotiable. Emily didn't argue, but her irritation was clear. She mumbled about making space for everyone, and I let it go. Around this time, Tom's name came up more often. Emily said he was still with their parents but needed a temporary solution. She hinted that he might need our support, and I sensed she was building up to something. Then she asked if Tom could join us for dinner to connect with me and the kids. I agreed, curious about him. The dinner was uncomfortable. Tom arrived late, disheveled, and spent the evening griping about his life. He barely spoke to the kids, who were disappointed, and I struggled to keep the conversation civil. After he left, Emily acted like it had been a success. I disagreed, but didn't push it. Soon, Emily's requests escalated. She suggested Tom could live with us after the wedding, just for a short time. When I asked where he'd stay, she pointed to the kids' craft room. I reminded her it was their space, and she dismissed it as no big deal. The conversation stalled, but it left me uneasy. Then I noticed Emily's interactions with my kids shifting. She started asking about their school and schedules, which seemed fine until she made odd remarks about them needing discipline or how they might thrive in a new setting. My daughter asked me what a boarding school was, saying Emily had brought it up. That set off alarms. When I confronted Emily, she laughed it off, claiming she was just discussing how boarding schools offer great opportunities. I told her not to mention it again, and she got defensive, insisting she was only trying to help. The cracks in our relationship were becoming undeniable. Emily seemed less focused on joining our family and more on reshaping it to fit her plans. I felt like I was being pressured into compromises that didn't sit right. The breaking point came one evening when Emily sat me down for a serious talk. The kids were upstairs, and I was unwinding after work. She looked resolute, like she'd rehearsed what she was about to say. "We need to discuss how we'll make this work after we're married," she began. I nodded, wary. "This house isn't big enough for all of us," she said. "We need to make changes." "What kind of changes?" I asked, already tense. She took a breath. "I think we should look into boarding schools for the kids. They'd get an excellent education, make new friends, and learn independence." I stared, stunned. "Boarding school? Are you kidding?" She doubled down. "I've researched it. It's a great option. Plus, it would free up space here." "For what?" I pressed, sensing the real motive. She hesitated, then said, "Tom could move in. He needs a stable place to get back on his feet." I couldn't believe it. "You want to send my kids away so your jobless brother can take their rooms?" She sighed like I was being difficult. "It's not just about Tom. It's about us building a life together. This would benefit everyone." "Benefit everyone?" I snapped. "My kids need their home, their dad, their stability, not to be shipped off because Tom can't sort himself out." She pushed back, calling me narrow-minded, and insisting boarding school wasn't a bad idea. The argument escalated until she issued an ultimatum. "If you can't prioritize my family, maybe we shouldn't get married." I looked her in the eye. "You're asking me to choose between you and my kids. That's not a choice." She stood, furious. "This is your decision. I won't settle for less." Then she walked out. That night, I realized our relationship was over. The next blow came when Tom showed up unannounced. It was a weekend morning, and I was making breakfast while the kids watched TV. A loud knock interrupted us. I opened the door to find Tom, grinning like he belonged there. "Hey, just dropping by," he said. "Sarah said I might be moving in soon, so I wanted to check the place out." I was floored. "There's no plan for you to move in," I said. He laughed. "Come on. Emily told me it's basically set." Before I could stop him, he walked inside, sprawling on the couch like he owned it. My kids looked confused, and I sent them upstairs. Emily arrived shortly after, acting like Tom's visit was no big deal. "I forgot to mention he was coming," she said casually. I wasn't having it. "You've been making plans behind my back," I said. "This stops now." Tom chimed in, saying he just needed a bed and some space, but I shut him down. "This is my home, and you're not moving in." He left, muttering, and I turned to Emily. "This is unacceptable." She accused me of overreacting, but I'd had enough. "If you can't respect my family, we're done," I said. She stared, shocked, then left without a word. Canceling the wedding was a mess. Emily demanded I reimburse her for the caterer deposit, claiming I owed her since I'd ended things. I reminded her I'd paid for the venue and other costs, but she wouldn't budge, even threatening legal action. She also spread lies, telling friends and family I'd abandoned her and refused to help Tom. Some believed her, and I faced awkward calls and accusations. My close friends and family supported me, but the drama was draining. Emily showed up one last time to grab her things. As she left, she sneered, "You'll regret this. You threw away a better future." I didn't flinch. "I protected my kids. That's what matters." She walked out, and the house felt peaceful again. My kids noticed the change and seemed relieved when I told them Emily wouldn't be their stepmom. "We're still a family," I said, and they smiled. Final update. I thought ending things with Emily would close the chapter, but the drama escalated. She intensified her smear campaign, telling mutual friends and even some of my relatives that I'd been manipulative and cruel. I got calls from people demanding explanations, some sympathetic, others judgmental. A friend, Mike, asked, "Did you really make Emily's life miserable?" I set the record straight. "She wanted to send my kids to boarding school so Tom could move in." Mike apologized, but not everyone was so reasonable. Tom didn't help. He sent me a threatening text. "You're a gutless jerk for not helping family. I might come by to take what's mine." His nerve was astounding. I hadn't taken anything from him. I just refused to let him invade my home. Worried he might show up, I changed all the locks. For a while, I braced for trouble, but then things went quiet. A friend later revealed why. Tom had stolen thousands from Emily's bank account during a drunken binge. He vanished afterward, leaving her to deal with the fallout. Her finances were ruined, and she was stuck with his debts. Then, unbelievably, Emily showed up at my door, begging for help. "Tom took everything," she pleaded. "I don't know what to do." I didn't hesitate. "This isn't my mess," I said. "You chose to prioritize Tom over my kids. Now you're facing the consequences." She snapped, calling me heartless, but I stood firm. "You need to go," I said. She left, defeated. In the weeks that followed, Emily's lies unraveled. Friends distanced themselves as Tom's actions came to light, and people saw the truth. I don't regret ending things. Choosing my kids was the right call. This ordeal taught me to protect my family's peace and only let in those who respect it. My kids are my world, and that'll never change. If you enjoyed this story and felt the emotions behind it, don't forget to give it a like, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more real-life experiences and heartfelt stories. Your support means the world, and it helps us bring more content like this to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.